Have you ever looked in the mirror and noticed a bump at the base of your neck and instantly thought, hey, is there something wrong with my posture? Well, it's important to know that you're not alone and that neck hump can freak a lot of people out. But here's the truth. Posture does not cause pain or dysfunction, and that neck hump doesn't mean that your body is broken or misshapen. And in today's video, I'll walk you through what this neck hump actually means, 2 simple tests that you can do right now to figure out whether this is something that you can actually improve. And we'll also go through 2 of my favorite exercises to address it. My goal with this video is for you to walk away with some clarity as well as a game plan, whether that means improving your mobility and your posture or shifting your focus to things that truly boost your confidence, like losing some fat or building some muscle. First, let's define it. A neck hump, which is also referred to as a Dowager's hump, is a rounded area at the base of the neck. This postural presentation will occur somewhere around that C7 to T1 area of the spine, and sometimes it can be a little bit fatty looking. Now, there's a lot of half-baked theories out there as to why this occurs, things like forward head posture, potentially years of slouching at a desk, and general stiffness in the upper back, chest, and neck area. And while those things may contribute, in my experience, the biggest cause is often just your genetics. It's how your spine is shaped, and you can thank your parents for that one. Now, that realization can be freeing, or it can send you into a spiral. I suggest the freeing option, as again, this isn't a huge deal to have this sort of presentation. Again, this is probably more of an aesthetic issue at the end of the day. And if you're playing a game of aesthetics, there's a lot of other options that you have available to you that can boost your aesthetics. Now, there are 2 other causes that are absolutely changeable, unlike your genetics, which brings up the fat accumulation from being overweight. Having an increased body fat percentage can basically just make this area build up with fatty tissue, which presents as a hump at the base of the neck. If this is the case, then reducing your body fat will not only help you visually, it will also improve your overall health, movement, and general confidence. This now brings up our 3rd cause, which is poor thoracic or rib cage mobility, as well as mobility restrictions in the neck and even the shoulders. This can lead to postural adaptations like forward head posture, shoulders rounding, and upper trap dominance, or a shrugging type posture. Here's a quick pro tip. Poor posture isn't what causes bad mobility. It's actually the other way around. So if we use this neck hump as an example, when your pecs, your upper traps, your upper abs get stiff and overactive, they clamp down on the rib cage and lock you into that slouched, shrugged posture. So if we're actually trying to improve our posture, that means we actually need to improve how our joints move and their general mobility. So essentially what's going on with this neck hump type posture is that everything is so dang tight from a muscular perspective that it is causing your body to shrug up, round forward, and then that neck hump will present itself. So I popped my shirt off here just to give you guys another sort of example of this. Again, I get squeezed under my armpits here, and all those muscles are tight at the upper back, the sides, as well as around the chest area. Again, all I can do is just go up. I'm only able to really move my shoulders up. Everything tends to round forward with that natural sort of kyphosis that should be there. And then because of this, everything elevates, my head comes forward, my head will try to look up to right, so that way I can actually look forward and not at the ground. And then just being here over time can potentially cause this neck hump area, which, there should be a normal spot right there. That's essentially just your C7, but you'll see this elevation of tissue because essentially you're been stuck here for so long and you start to crane your neck up, and that then causes this to elevate. So again, these theories that forward head posture, years of slouching cause this neck hump, yes, to some degree that can be the case, but it's just important to note that we don't want to lose sight of the forest for the trees. We want to really try to focus in on what is actually going to help this stuff, which is improving our mobility, versus focusing on things like chin tucks and like scapular retractions, which, yes, they get some things strong, but I find that those don't actually make a huge change to postural presentation in the long run, if, again, you can actually change this and it's not just something that's genetic or fat. So your next course of action is really just to decompress the rib cage, improve mobility around this area, which can free up your posture and relieve that constant sort of shrugging position that we often see with the neck hump posture. But with all that said, how do you know if this is you? That's where the tests come into play. Testing our mobility can give us a lot more information as to potentially if this is a cause of that postural presentation, as well as give us an intervention or a means of attack so that way you can actually make a change. These next two mobility tests will help you figure out if these restrictions are actually like a part of your story, or again, if this hump is just structural. They're gonna check if the front and the back of the rib cage are actually tight, what's overactive, and what might be worth addressing. So our first test we're gonna perform is the shoulder extension test. This is great for telling us how tight everything is at the anterior chest wall here, pecs, pec minor, subclavius, all that stuff. If this area is restricted at all, then you're not gonna be able to reach your arm behind your back very well. So this test will tell us what is tight and what could potentially be holding us into that postural positioning, causing the neck hump. So to set this exercise up, you're simply going to go from a side view. You may wanna have a camera there so that way you can kind of film yourself and see what's going on. But oftentimes you can just go by feel. You're gonna take your thumb, point it in, rotate it backwards like you're trying to poke your little brother in the eye. From here, take the opposite hand, put it on your shoulder. This is just gonna help us check to see if there's any excessive rounding or shrugging that can occur during the test. If we start to feel anything like that, stop the test. That's all you got. So I'm here, I'll show you without the hand. Reach back behind you, get as far as you can. Goal is to be able to get to about 45 degrees, just like I'm at, or even further. Now, what we don't want to have happen is that you get back there by, again, shrugging the shoulder or overly rounding, which essentially is just you contracting these muscles in order to make this happen, right? Compensate into that position. So the hand here will help you feel that out. A little bit is normal, right? Having some rounding should happen. What we don't want, and you'll notice this big time, is as you go back, you start to round, and then that's all that happens the rest of the way. You'll also typically see that the sternum or your chest will disappear behind your shoulder, essentially. So getting back to 45 degrees, if you can get there, fantastic, great, good job. You don't have restrictions here. If you do have restrictions, you do have compensations, you can't get back into that position, you got some stuff to work on. The next test we'll look at is a shoulder flexion test. This test is great because it's gonna tell us how tight everything is around your shoulder blade and upper back area. To set this test up, you're simply just going to lay on your back with your palm facing toward you, keeping your elbow in alignment with the shoulder. While keeping this palm facing down to the floor, you're then just going to reach up overhead as far as you can. You're never going to get the inside of the elbow to touch the floor, but what you should be able to do is at least get the elbow to about top of the head or at least your hairline without seeing the elbow veer out to the side, you arch your back, or you shrug your shoulder. And for folks with that neck hump type posture, they're oftentimes going to get stuck and want to shrug their shoulders up similar to their postural positioning, which is again just proof that if we have poor mobility, the posture presentation that we have is often just a specialization of the compensations you have around those mobility limitations. I hope that made sense. It made sense in my head. If it doesn't, let me know down in the comments. Now, if you failed one or both of these tests, that's actually good news because you found something that you can improve upon. That means mobility is a part of your story and can hopefully fix the postural presentation that you're in. That said, just know that there is no magic fix. I wish there was. I wish I had a magic pill I could ship to every one of you watching this video because I'd be a very rich man, I'm sure, and you'd be happy because you'd have all your mobility and posture things fixed. That said, with consistency, you can improve your mobility, decompress the areas that are stuck, and see some good results in your posture. And you can do that without having to do some 20-step corrective routine, worrying about your myofascia and all this other junk out there. Just focus on 2 high-impact moves that really just help. First exercise we'll be using is called the hook lying screwdriver. This exercise is extremely good at improving the shoulder flexion that you might be missing and loosening up those muscles around the shoulder blade and the upper back. To set this exercise up, what you'll do is lay in a hook lying position with your feet out, knees up, and bat flat on the floor. It's often good to use a pillow in this positioning. Again, if you're in this neck hump posture, you probably have a little bit of some forward head going on. So having a pillow underneath your head will help to relax everything. That way your neck isn't craning backwards. Once laying here, you're going to want to pick up a weight. You can also just use a heavy water bottle if you don't have any weights at home. It can be a dumbbell, kettlebell, whatever you have. And the weight you pick needs to be relatively moderate. So here I'm using about 15 pounds. I wouldn't go over 25 pounds to do something like this. Make sure your lower back is flat, press your feet flat into the floor, feel a little bit of hamstrings turn on. This will lock you in a neutral pelvis positioning, neutral rib cage positioning, which is needed so that way you can get the full effect at the shoulder and the neck. You'll then take the weight, punch it up to the ceiling. This punch is also referred to as scapular protraction, in which we're now activating the serratus musculature. As you reach to the ceiling, just make sure you're not shrugging your shoulder up toward your ear. You should feel a little bit of tension turn on at around the armpit area. Maintain all this. Keep your hamstrings, keep the bat flat, keep that tension in the armpit or that serratus working, and then you're going to rotate the weight into external rotation. So your thumb's going to go from pointing in toward your chest to out away from your chest. Once you've rotated out, you'll then rotate it back in. So you're just making a 180 degree arc with the thumb while maintaining that scapular protraction. And then to add to the exercise, we're also going to rotate the head in the direction that you're rotating your thumb. So this external rotation of the shoulder as well as the rotation of the head is going to loosen up the scapular muscles, the upper back muscles, as well as the muscles around the neck. And to really enhance this, we want to add a little bit of breathing. So as you rotate out, you look to your left or right and your thumb turns out, you're going to take a deep breath in through the nose. When you do this, you should feel a bit of an enhancement of the stretch or work sensation that is being done around the shoulder blade. It feels really nice. Again, deep breath in, and then as you rotate back in, you look up toward the ceiling. You're going to exhale. You'll then sequence that breathing. Every time you rotate the thumb out, breathe in. Every time you rotate the thumb in, you breathe out. And you'll do that for every rep. I recommend doing this for 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. The next exercise is our dead hang lat inhibition exercise. This movement is significantly easier than the first one, and frankly, I think it works better because it's just way more simple. But you will need a pull-up bar or some kind of object to hang from in order to get the full effect of this exercise. We already know the benefits of doing dead hang type activities. It really helps the shoulder stay healthy and decompresses the spine. This is just a twist on that, where we make sure that we get our feet and our knees as well as a little bit of the hips out in front of the upper body, which helps to really traction the entire spine and get an even better stretch through the upper chest, lats, upper back, and around the neck. It actually tends to improve both shoulder flexion and shoulder extension testing. I sound like a used car salesman, but it's a really good exercise. So to set this up, grab a pull-up bar, go to a more wider grip. I'd say about 3 to 4 inches outside of shoulder width. And then you want to position your hips so that they're just below 90 degrees. If your pull-up bar is low enough, you can just keep your feet on the floor. Here, I'm using a box because that's what I need to do to get my hips at that 90 degree angle. I'll have a foam roller between my knees just to help kind of decompress the spine a little bit more. I'm then going to push my feet down to the box, slightly dragging my bottom forward with my hamstring muscles. This helps to fully traction out that spine. I'll squeeze the foam roller in between the knees, get those adductors to fire up a little bit, and this will just secure me in this positioning. I almost think of this as like one of those medieval kind of torture devices. I'm just using my hamstrings, my lower body to kind of pull down on the spine while my hands are fixed and pulling upwards on the spine. I'm then going to do some deep breathing. So I'm going to fully exhale every spit of air I have all the way out, feel a little bit of an abdominal contraction, maintain that position of my stomach and my ribs as I then inhale through my nose and use that to stretch out even more the upper chest, my back, my lats,
pretty much everything in the upper body. Because this breath is expanding the entire rib cage and not down into the belly like typical diaphragmatic breathing, it can help, again, improve those measurements of the shoulder extension and shoulder flexion because we're just stretching out the front, back, and even the sides of that rib cage. So then complete this for 3 sets of 3 to 5 breaths. The most limiting factor here is often just your grip. So do whatever you can. And the most important thing to note here is that you are not extending your lower back. You want to have your bottom tucked underneath you. If you are extending through your lower back, you're probably going to be breathing more into your belly. You're just not going to get the full effect of this exercise.
Now, what do you do if you pass both the tests and the hump is still there? Well, that's probably just structural. It's part of your anatomy. You're not broken. You don't really need to fix anything. And in that case, I would probably just focus on adding muscle. Build your upper back. Get your neck super strong. Do some different exercises that'll really just change your aesthetics, which not only will make you stronger, your joints healthier, but you can actually probably cover up that area by just layering on a bunch of muscle. On the other side of the coin, I would lose some fat. And again, if you can kind of squeeze that area of the neck hump, then it's probably fat tissue. And losing fat is probably going to be the best bang for your buck. Again, not only from your health, but also for reducing that neck hump presentation. But remember, confidence and health don't come from perfect posture. They come from how you feel, function, and move, which is why I made this video. I know it's easy to spiral with this posture stuff, especially when YouTube is flooded with fear-based content. But the bottom line is, if your body has room for improvement, go after it. If it doesn't, let it go. Get strong, move well, and be proud of what your body can do, not just how it looks.